We're on the Warehouse Floor podcast. I'm Tim Hoy, CEO of Hoy Innovations, and we have a special guest today, Minky Couture, a longtime local company in Salt Lake City. Jamie.
I am Jamie Lewandowski, and I am with Minky Couture, the original blanket company. Been with them for about 15, 16 years now, and started granularly just as a store associate and have moved up to be the director of inventory control. So.
Very good. With Hoy Innovations, we're we're a 60-year business in Salt Lake City, covering really states all around the country, but mainly Utah and Idaho for a lot of our service focus and touch, installing and servicing. But about 10 years ago, we started a software division called Warehouse OS. You guys have been a user of that technology. We'll talk a little bit about that. And we also do, storage systems, really everything material handling for companies and their fulfillment operations. We appreciate the business that we've done over the years with Minky and for the great customer relationship we have with you.
Well, we appreciate that. We actually have really enjoyed using Hoy and Warehouse OS. We started with really nothing, honestly, Google Sheets. And so starting from a point of zero, it's been really great to work with your company.
It's interesting. When we met, so you were probably on board in the title offices?
I actually was not. I was working this, so the stores were part of those offices. Like it was, the title company owned the offices, and then we had stores there. And so I started in the stores at that time. So yeah.
Yeah, right near the beginning.
Right near the beginning, a couple of years in.
Okay. Well, I remember we got, introduced, and you were in those small buildings. And then I think the first project was really the study to get you into that old Navy store.
Yes.
In Layton.
Yes.
Where you were going to have a storefront, retail, sewing and manufacturing, inventory of finished goods, fulfillment out the back for shipping.
Yes. So that was crazy because that was a crazy time. Honestly, the founder, Sandy Hendry, she went to a couple of universities and said, here's what I want to do. Here's my vision. I want to be able to produce these blankets. I want to manufacture these blankets, and I want to import. And they said, can't be done. Nope, can't be done. And she decided it could be done and wanted to do it anyway. And we were in these small office buildings where we were producing, we were cutting the fabric, and then the fabric was going out to seamstresses to their homes to be sewn at home. And we still do that today, which is one of the great things about Minky Couture is we have in-home seamstresses, so they're able to work from home if they can't afford daycare. So it's kind of an interesting segment when we moved to the Old Navy store because it is a big space.
Yeah.
And we were used to small spaces. And at that time, we didn't have any warehousing at all. So we didn't have a warehouse building. We were actually using self-storage units. So imagine trying to empty a semi-truck and putting it in a regular truck and moving it to a storage shed and know what inventory you have. That's kind of where we started. So it's been a big journey.
Google Sheets were like stores number H and J, and this is where they were, pull those in.
Yeah, that's basically how we kept track of what we had. We really didn't have a big selection of what was coming in. We really only had like one truck a year, but we did have to use storage units and Google Sheets. And then that's kind of how we had 5 or 6 stores at the time, and that's kind of how we did our inventory for them too. It was just kind of a Google Sheet. Okay, here's what we think, here's what we have.
Yeah.
Kind of check off what you'd like a wish list. It was kind of like online shopping in a way. And I'd go pick what we had available. So they never knew what they were going to get. They just tell us what they needed.
It's like, here's what you're going to sell this week. This is what we have.
Exactly.
What we found, what we located.
Exactly. So they'd say, well, I don't really need these because I have a whole lot of these. But if you have any of these, I'd love some of those.
So from the transition from Google Sheets to Warehouse OS, I mean, a lot of, Google Sheets is pretty powerful. And we definitely have a lot of clients that was the transition from, to a WMS or Warehouse OS application. How was that transition out of Google Sheets to a technology platform?
I will tell you, I've talked about this with a lot of people, a lot of companies. We didn't really know where to go. We didn't really know what system we wanted to use. At this time, we had a huge transition. We were using an e-commerce that wasn't really fit for us. So we were looking for two things. We were looking for an e-commerce and we were looking for a warehouse management system. And so what I would do is I would just network with a lot of people at conferences. Luckily, at this point, Sandy was getting a lot of entrepreneur awards. So we were going to a lot of award things and a lot of conferences. And I would just pick brains of people that worked for companies that were similar to our size. So I'd go to companies and say, hey, who do you use for a warehouse management system? Do you like them? What do you like about them? And that type of thing. And so I had worked with a couple of Utah companies that said, we use Warehouse OS. We love them. We brought Warehouse OS came in. And the thing I love the most about it is they came and looked at our process. They came and looked at what we were doing, what our needs were, where we had the manufacturing on one end, and then we also had the import on another end. It was a big ask. And so they sat and watched us for a couple of days and asked questions, the team from Warehouse OS. And I absolutely love that. That was probably my favorite thing because they needed to know what our needs were and work with us to get the system up and running. So, yeah.
No, that's good that it worked out. That's really part of the goal, and it's part of the name of the podcast being the warehouse floor, because we really want to focus on ideas and technologies and software. And Warehouse OS is definitely developed for the idea of it fitting well for the processes that happen in material management and fulfillment and organization. So it's great to know that you're a happy customer with that focus being process automation and technology that fits the flow.
Yes, absolutely. We looked at a few others and it was like, here's our box system. How can you get some workarounds to work for you? Yeah. Instead of coming in a different manner of saying, let's look at your needs and then we can help you implement that with our system. So yeah. It's great.
One of the things that was unique then, and I think, for apparel or clothing or colors, we came to market with a very interactive screen, a touch screen GUI. Did the visuals, how did that affect your?
That's actually really important. And we saw that later because we've had really big growth in the last 5-6 years. And we have to bring on a lot of temporary employees during the holiday season. And one thing I love about that screen is it's less than a day. It's a few hours for them to learn the system. And so that was really great for us with the iPad. You bring someone in and you teach them how to pick. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's very easy to learn. And I do love that. I love that it's on an iPad. They've got that right on their carts. And it's very visual. So it was really nice. It's a great interface.
Yeah, it's still, I think, one of those unique things that it helped that we did patents for that technology to have the grid and the matching the cart and that customization. But, we feel like it's just the secret sauce to the productivity.
It absolutely
on the floor.
Yeah,
and the training is great too.
That's one thing we really wanted to make sure that it was user-friendly. You've got the user-friendly front-facing because we are bringing on people all the time. We bring in temporary employees, and you don't want mistakes. That's another thing.
Yeah.
If it's very visual, you're not going to get the mistakes. The other great thing about the system is you can set, for each user, you can set different functions. So when they first start, it's beeping all the time when they're making mistakes, right? You're hearing beeps all through the warehouse. But as we have people that have been there a lot longer, we take some of those restrictions away from them and they are able to pick just a little bit faster because we have confidence in what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there's some really great features.
And they're seeing patterns on the screen. They're getting a lot of visual.
They're getting a picture every time. Yeah. So yeah, if they're not sure, of course we have a lot of products, sizes. There's so many products. There's probably 256 products and they're changing in and out. And so having that actual picture on there when you scan is really great for them as they're learning. So that's great.
Yeah. What, we talked a little bit about, this journey that Sandy and the team, really is an impressive team. And I've been visiting Minky for the last 10 or 15 years.
Yes.
Maybe it's been that long.
Yeah, it has.
That's crazy. But, your company definitely enjoys a really great aptitude and culture. And it's interesting that companies that are, developing a brand and the whole team is working together. Minky maybe does it better than almost anyone I've met.
Yeah.
maybe talk about the culture and the idea of everyone working together so well.
Yeah, we're really lucky. Working for Sandy Hendry as the owner founder from day one, culture is very important to her, and she works hard that we have that culture. We have so many people come into our office and just say, "Wow, this is something special."
Yeah.
She wants everyone on the team to know that they're important. She also is very big into customer service. We have a full staff of customer service, and she is very strongly believes that if the customer's not happy, then we're not happy. And so we work really hard, and we see that in the warehousing as far as we don't make mistakes in our picking very often. We back up every blanket we sell. And she's great to the employees. At Christmas, when we're working longer hours, Santa comes in and he brings gift cards. She feeds us lunch every day. It's a great culture to work for, and I think that says a lot about her. It also says a lot about how she feels about the company. Other little things she does, like I said earlier, we have the in-home seamstresses. What a great perk if you can't afford daycare. So there's a lot of things that she's very mindful. She's very mindful of her employees. If you have an idea, it doesn't matter who you are, you can bring it to her.
Yeah.
And that's a lot.
Well, it's interesting. I've seen companies with really good cultures too, but maybe there's a tier to, a corporate office where product is designed and sourcing and all that. And then you've got fulfillment in a warehouse that's on the other side of town. And not that they're treated.
They're just not seen as often.
They're not seen as often. And I think oftentimes don't feel part of the team where, you've decided to have a corporate office that is engaging with the warehouse. Fulfillment is definitely right in line, and they're sharing the same break rooms, and it feels better.
It creates a team mentality. It really does. You see everyone every day, and she'll walk out in the warehouse. She'll walk out in shipping. She'll go out there to see what it's like, and I do that all the time too. I want to know what's going on in our warehouse. I want to know where our productivity is. You can see a lot from just walking through. And it's the same with shipping. What's our morale in shipping? What's going on? We have Tuesday meetings with each of our department heads, and we all come in and we all take a turn and kind of go through and say, hey, how's your department? What's going on in your department? Another great thing she does, we celebrate birthdays.
Yeah.
If there's a birthday, it's noticed. So she was a school teacher for 30 years. I think a lot of that comes from being a school teacher.
Okay.
She's aware of everyone in there, and she makes holidays and birthdays fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I think that there's a lot of companies, and we talked about this when you walked in, saying, right from the get-go, your team, the Minky team, they weren't afraid of any aspect of the business. They just jumped in and got to work doing it. It's really common for a lot of companies to outsource fulfillment or to not take that on. And we work with so many brands and companies that maybe it's the love of their product or the dedication to their product and their customer. They don't want to let that separation happen. So they want to make sure they fulfill to the last delivery.
Yeah.
What do you think back to are the indicators that you were not fearful of taking that on?
Yeah. Sandy's funny because she takes pride in her product. I guess it's not funny. Sandy takes a lot of pride in her product. At one point a few years ago, we were hand packaging every blanket. So imagine trying to get out thousands of orders a day and you're hand packaging every product. And I walked into Sandy and I said, Sandy, I know you want to grow your company. I said, but if we continue to hand package, I don't know how we're going to get them all out. And so then we looked at packaging. We still hand package a few that come in, but we have transitioned a little bit there just because she wants to grow.
Yeah.
And so that was something that was a big decision for her because her product, she stands behind 1,000%. And we all do, honestly.
Yeah.
Our customer service does. I listen to customer service all day, and we take every phone call, and we want the customer happy. That's her bottom line. We want the customer happy. And so weighing the growth versus the pride in the product. There's still pride in the product,
Yeah,
but it
it's still
doesn't have.
delivering a well presented article for sure.
Yes,
Yeah, I know
but
that's
at some point you got to look at it and go, okay, where are we slowing down? Okay,
Yeah.
what do we need to do to speed up our process a little bit? And that was one of them that we had to say, okay, I know you want us to put a little hand love note on every single one of these, but what can we do to speed this up just a little bit so we can get out the products to
Yeah.
the customers quicker?
Yeah.
So
That's great. Well, and your model is a little bit, it's definitely not simple because you've got manufacturing, sewing, you've got e-commerce orders to home, you've got company orders, you've got a lot of different, and you have numerous retail stores. So,
we do.
You are embodying a very omni-channel experience. And how has Warehouse OS helped maybe take on some of these other initiatives? And
Warehouse OS has been really great. When we first started, we really weren't sure how we were going to get product for our stores to see what products we had available and the most efficient way to pick those products. So that's something we really worked on, and Warehouse OS did some customization for us. Each of our stores have a link that they can see inventory available, and we only allow them to look at a certain percentage of that inventory. Another great thing, and then they are able to put in their own specific order for their stores.
right.
I thought it was really important for them they know their stores, they know their customers. So I thought it was really important for them to be able to order their inventory, and each store is a little different.
Right.
So they have that ability to say, and we actually now have, they have weekly reports that show what they sold and what their trends are, so that they are able to make those educated decisions on what orders they want to place. But through Warehouse OS, they have special links that they can order inventory that reads the inventory of what we have in the warehouse. The really great thing about that, not only can they special order what they need, they're limited to about 7%, so they're not depleting a lot of our e-commerce, because of course our e-commerce is going to be higher. But the really great thing about that is when they order those, we ask them to order them by the case, and on their order sheet it shows how many blankets are per case. And then when that order is placed, it goes to our upper sections. We're not picking single picks, we're picking cases.
Yeah.
So that saves us a lot of time on a warehouse standpoint.
Yeah.
We're not going through with carts and picking 7 of one blanket, 8 of another blanket, and depleting where we're picking for e-commerce. We're going to the upper overstock, and they have a pick path, which makes it really efficient, and they pick their orders from up top. And that's been a game changer for us. It's been really great.
Yeah, it's key to source that original order from its right locations, bulk overpick or primary picks. A lot of systems don't really designate that, and they send orders in and it just decimates their pick floor.
Absolutely. And then
they have
you've
to
got
do a replenishment.
absolutely you've got a replenishment, which
interruptions.
takes more employees on
Yeah.
top of it, because all of a sudden we have a big product,
Yes.
a very big
Yes.
product. I mean, some of our products are 13 to 14 pounds, the weighted blankets. So our product's very big, and that's been kind of a challenge as far as restock. But being able to pick those store orders up above has helped a lot with that. And it's worked really great, honestly. And you're right, because Warehouse OS, one thing that you guys came in and I loved was our pick locations are our floor locations,
Yeah.
and everything else is up, which is great for space.
Yeah.
Really
yeah.
makes it nice for space.
Yeah, now looking at your facilities, you've got 2 warehouses that are not small warehouses, they're big warehouses. And again, I think commentary about how well they're built out for the employee comfort and, really celebrating your time at work.
Yeah.
I know that there's, driven for productivity,
Yes.
and, the team members are seeing, you can see productivity, you can see output. I think celebrating the workforce is great with the comfortable space and the break rooms. How else do they feel like empowered? Like, I think software does that a lot too, just the empowerment so that they have a good tool to work with so they can be productive and say, like, I know I'm contributing well
Yes.
to the company that is treating me well too.
Yes. So we do keep KPIs. We are monitoring, and they love that, honestly. They love to see the leaderboard. We've talked a lot about KPIs, and we want to make it a positive.
Yes.
We don't want it to be negative. So they are able to see their picks per hour. Basically, we keep track of how they're picking. We do things a little differently. We don't go from pick all the way through pack. We actually do shifts where they pick for a couple of hours, then they package for a couple of hours, and then they'll box for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So we do that differently just for the fact that it is more productive for us the way that we run in the system. The great thing about our warehouse and the way it's set up, it has smaller rows because our pick locations are huge.
Yeah.
Because our product is big, right?
Yep.
But they love going out there and have little competitions, Okay, so the next person that gets X amount done gets this. And it's actually fun. We do that mostly just during the high end season, but we try to make it definitely a positive, fun competition instead of you didn't meet the barrier. And we see a big.
Well, and I think you would agree that when people are motivated in a positive way, you're going to get better results over time.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And the engagement is there. And again, I think it works so well because Minky's doing a lot for the employee. You know what I mean? You have a really great workplace, you have a great culture. Those good employees also want to contribute and meet that
They
offer.
do. They actually
really want it.
every day will say how many orders are batched and what's our goal. You have those goals and you say, okay, we have these many orders if we get this done, if we get this done. And they really like that. They like to have that knowledge of what are we looking at today? What's our goal?
Well, I think it speaks to our human, capabilities. That's what we want to champion, what we're capable of doing.
Absolutely.
And when the whole company is working in that way, again, it's somewhat unique, very enviable. I'm sure a lot of companies that will maybe hear you talking about this or know of Minky, it's not easily replicated.
Yeah.
But when it's working, it's really amazing.
It's great because we all know that we all depend on each other. Your picking team, your warehouse team, we're all dependent on one another. Our communication is great. Our shipping manager, once we batch, lets our warehouse team know. The warehouse team then knows they can restock. We're all talking to each other. And shipping knows that what they get out affects customer service. We're all on the same team. And so that's being part of a team. You don't want to let the other part of the team down, right?
Yeah.
So we're always communicating, hey, we're getting some phone calls that these aren't out yet. Sometimes it backfires on you because people get used to getting them out that day.
Yeah.
And when you have large sales, then, well, we didn't get it out today, but it'll be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we do know that we're all one big team and we work together that way.
That's awesome. What about maybe for some people, the hurdle to technology is maybe a big hurdle. Maybe their Google Sheets are really serving them well and they're like, we'll get organized later, or, you guys definitely jumped into organization early. How do you think that helped you scale and grow?
I don't think we would be around if we hadn't.
Yeah.
Honestly, I remember one Christmas, I think it was the year you guys came into Old Navy, that Old Navy space. At the time, we were manually typing every shipping order. And we literally had stacks like this that we were manually typing the shipping order in. And that was the point where we were like, if we don't do something quick, we're going to have a real problem. And we also had stores. This was another thing that was so funny. We also had stores that would just come in and take blankets off shelves because they didn't have them in their store. And I was like, those are sold. And it took some time. They're like, but they're on the shelf, because they were so used to, if they're on the shelf,
There must be available.
we can take them.
Yeah.
So that was kind of an education for stores to say, no, they're allocated. And for a little bit, we had one store manager that was just like, but they're there. And so I had to explain it to her, and she finally said, oh, I think I get it. It's like when your kids go in your pantry and take your box of cereal, and you still think that box of cereal's in there. I said, yes, exactly. That's what it's like. Don't take it.
This allocation, it causes a problem down the road.
Yes.
Someone gets hungry.
Yeah, so once we had a little learning curve when we first got Warehouse OS set up, because they thought, if it's on the shelf, I can take it. But yeah, we really did have it. My advice to anyone that's a small company that's making it, just start talking to people. Really, honestly,
Yeah.
talk to some small businesses you know, or look up a couple of small businesses and call and ask them. Say,
Yeah.
hey, who do you use? What is your experience? Because that's the best knowledge, I feel like. Or call a couple of companies, and if
Yeah.
you're interested, ask for some references,
Yeah.
because that's where you're going to learn what works and what doesn't work, and does it work for your company or doesn't it work for your company. That's another great thing about Warehouse OS. We went and visited 3 or 4 different other warehouses, gleaned a lot of knowledge from what they were doing. You know, that won't work for us, but that will work for us. Let's go try that.
Yeah, you know, it is unique. Every building, and based on their orders, the size of the product. I mean, your outlier is the size of the product is big, and so that does create a lot of maybe innovation required to handle, you know, SKU sizes that are big enough to carry enough to replenish fast.
Yes.
You know, like I know Robert was working with, you know, we like to replenish for enough orders that it doesn't make sense to replenish. You know, you can't
Yes.
just replenish 2.
We went through a big learning curve with that. But we were not using mins and maxes, and we were also not using what you call a home location, which I know a lot of companies don't need to use that. But what we were running into is we would have hundreds of orders for a product, and we could only fit 48 products in a Gaylord.
Yeah.
So we would have all these orders that are saying, go pick this order, but it's up above, and our pickers were getting frustrated.
Right.
So that was a big challenge for us. One Christmas season, we had to say, help,
A lot
come in.
more replenishment, or like
Yeah,
dedicating
this
2
is
SKUs
not,
for it.
yeah. So, I mean, at first we were like, well, we'll just dedicate 2 locations,
Yeah.
but we didn't have the space to do that. So the way it works now is we use home locations, and it just points to that home location. And a lot of times the product's not, it will have 150 items in the home location, but really they're not there. Once the drops to the mins and max, we would run a min and max report. They say, oh, we're down to 20 in that space. And that's again where it works with the batching.
Yeah.
We've batched. Okay, how many are allocated to that location? And then we would put the products down in kind of a holding bay,
Right.
is what we would call it. And then this would be full, your picking location would be full. As soon as that location is empty, we already know that it's sitting out ready to go. We'd move it into that home location. So we've fixed those problems, but it definitely, one holiday season was a big problem for us. And again, we came to Warehouse OS and said, help. and we did a few trial and errors, and
Yeah.
they said, and we find, you know, we tweak it as we go, right?
Yeah.
We got the major problem solved, but then we had another problem of, well, it's over here and we don't know it's over here in that holding location. So the great thing is, I don't know the specifics anymore because we have a warehouse team that's really great.
Yeah.
But we work together, and that we solved the problem. So it's really great. I'm huge into process.
Yep.
Where can we save 5 seconds? Because those 5 seconds add up.
They add up.
And so we do that all the time. I sit down with my restock team or my inventory team. I sit down with our fulfillment team. I say, where's your holdup? What can we fix? And so from like February till July, we work on those problems. We work on those, oh, the shipping label's printing too slow. Okay, how can we fix that? We go to the shipping team. Our restock, well, we're off by this amount every time when we, okay, what's causing that? We do custom orders, which is another thing that's a big headache. And we do have little issues sometimes with when it's allocated versus it takes almost 2 weeks, sometimes 2 to 3 weeks with those custom orders. So someone orders a custom blanket and then someone orders a regular blanket, and those are allocated.
Right. To be combined.
But then if you run if we're doing like a cycle count, your cycle count is off.
Yeah.
Because it's allocated, but it's in there. So those are little things that we work through. We're like, oh,
Yeah.
how do we fix this problem? We can find a solution.
Yeah.
So we're always looking for processes of how to fix them a little bit.
Well, it's obvious that this is part of the growth and this is the success. The operations are really core to the business, and again, it's unique to see it all in the same corporate office. And I just I want this to be somewhat of a voice for companies to say like, hey, we love our product too, and maybe we can do this. Hearing you talk makes it sound somewhat easy, but I know it's not easy because business is it's not simple. It's got a lot of complexity to it.
Yes.
But the team's all committed to getting the success done, and it's not a mountain. It's not unclimbable.
It's doable. Anything's doable. And if I've learned anything from working from Minky Couture, Sandy is an entrepreneur. I am not an entrepreneur mind. Nope, we got to do it this way.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that I've learned. You know what? If there's something you want to solve, if there's a process you want to perfect, you can do it. Go work on it. Go try it. And if it doesn't work the first time, try it again.
Yeah.
And ask some outside resources. You'll figure it out. It's been a big learning curve for me, but I love what I do.
Well, you do a great job of it. It's awesome to see Minky's growth and really the continued innovation, the product innovation, your operations. You continue to grow and make this this business very viable. It's exciting for us to be a part of it. We're very proud to be partnered up with as a supplier and software partner with Minky, and excited to see what growth is coming in the next decade. You're just almost scratching the surface of some of these markets. This is it's definitely got a lot of blue sky in front of it too. So it's very exciting.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We are excited. Lots to come on the corporate end of things. So I appreciate you having me here today. And we enjoy using Hoyt and Warehouse OS. They've been a great partner.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Jamie. Appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.